Welcome back to the world of Wraith. Got with you guys an updated list for the best CC decks in the format for the national seasons. Before we jump into it, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. If you are, thank you. And let me know in the comments down below, what do you think is the best deck in the format? Without further ado, let's begin. Number 1, No Oscilio. Now, I think No Oscilio actually really rose up. I had him at number 4 on my previous list, but after the performance of a couple players on Oscilio, I really think this is the best deck of the format. That's not to say he'll be the most played. I actually think that's something that Oscilio has always had. It's a very powerful deck, very high ceiling, but not a ton of people are going to play him. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of how I've noticed. Even though it's a very strong deck, it's kind of hard to play. You're playing a lot of no blocks. Your ability to discard a card and draw a new card really opens up a bunch of different lines, and you can do that on your turn and your opponent's turn. The deck has a lot of velocity, being able to draw not only with his hero ability, but with Sigil of Brilliance and tons of new cards from the Omen set, as well as we have an Arcane Oscilio that's playing Stormstriders, and then we have a combo Oscilio that's playing Gone in the Flash, and maybe we could even see something somewhere in the middle, somewhere in between. I think Oscilio is definitely the best deck of the format. Definitely keep him in consideration when deck building or when picking a deck to play for your national season. Number 2, Gravy D Bones. Gravy Bones, 1 Nats. I think that'll put a huge target on his back. I actually think a lot of aggro players will rise up. We'll see more ninjas, we'll see Dios, all just because they can build their deck and have a great game plan into Gravy Bones. But I think Gravy Bones will be resilient. I think Gravy Bones has a very high ceiling. We still have cards like Conqueror of the High Seas, Chum. I think Gravy Bones is going to be a very powerful deck in the meta, but I do think a lot of players will bring decks to counter him, and usually aggressive decks will counter Oscilio and Gravy Bones. They'll usually force them to play way more aggressively. So instead of Gravy Bones setting up a big turn into decks, if they're playing against aggressive decks, they're going to be playing more value, more immediate. Let me get this value and attack with my allies, instead of setting up their big grand turn that they can against slower decks. Number 2 definitely goes to Gravy Bones. Number 3, I actually have 3 decks. Dio along with the 2 Draconic Ninjas. I think we're just going to combine these into Aggro Soup. I think Dio has the highest ceiling, but plays a ton of no blocks, has a pretty amazing fridge. I think 5 somewhere in the middle, has a pretty good ceiling, but sometimes draws too many blues, sometimes doesn't draw any blues. I think Syndra is down below, the lowest ceiling, but probably the most consistent, being able to do 3 go again galore. Has Mask of Momentum, so we're always playing on her axis. Regardless, I think all 3 decks, Dio, Phi, and Syndra, are a really solid number 3 spot. Definitely expect all of these heroes to be at your nationals. Number 4, Zyggy Starlight. The new hero from Omens has access to not only lightning cards, but illusionist cards, as well as Gone in the Flash combo, tons of ward auras, and the ability to swing with the auras thanks to Reality Refractor. I don't think a lot of people are going to be running the Aphrodite's build, so don't worry too much about that. But Ziggy's card pool makes him a huge threat. Even though you're rarely going to see the hero ability, his real hero ability is the Lightning Illusionist text box at the bottom. As well as Zyggy has a pretty good matchup into Oscilio with all the ward and all the high attacks he can run in the Illusionist class. Wizards notoriously have a hard time against Illusionists. I'm not sure how the Gravy Bones matchup is with Zyggy against Gravy Bones. They both seem to be a board state deck, So something tells me Ziggy won't struggle too much against Gravy Bones. Maybe Chum will give him a little bit of a hard time. But besides that, they're both board state decks, so it should be a very complex match. If I'm completely wrong, let me know in the comments down below. I think Ziggy will struggle into the aggressive decks a little bit, but the other heroes in the top 5 decks, I think he should have a pretty good spot. That being Oscilio, Gravy Bones, and the number 5, Victor Goldmane. Now, previously I had Victor at number 2, but just in the meta we're currently in, I don't think he's that strong. Probably the worst of the best decks. I think he has a rough time into Oscilio, into Ziggy, into Gravy Bones. Now, yes, he is there to counter the aggressive leaning decks like Syndrafy and Dio, but I think with the other decks in the meta, he's still going to struggle. I think he'll likely LL, so soon enough we won't have to deal with the horse. But I do think he's not as a good position as he was last format, so I'll give him number 5. Last, let's talk about Arachne and Vincent. Arachne Marionette, put him as an honorable mention. I really thought this was the best deck of the format, but just in the meta we're in, all the Ziggy auras, all the Gravy Bone allies, the fact that if you don't draw the disruption into Oscilio can just outrace you. Arachne's in a very weird spot. It was one thing when it was Victor, and Victor you could kind of have a unfavorable matchup, but you could still beat them. But now with Gravy Bones and Ziggy in the meta, it's looking tough for Arachne Marionette. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he's even in the top 5. I think I'll put him at honorable mentions right alongside Vincent. Just like Marionette, they both have a lot of disruption, but don't always see it. They're both a consistent deck, but way different when they see their power cards to compare when they don't. Playing against a Marionette that hasn't seen Saber Bloodshed or Codex is completely different from one that has. Same thing with Vincent. If you're playing against Vincent and they see Cole, if they see some of their widespread cards, it's completely different to when they don't. I think the two of them can win some nationals, are still going to be relevant to the meta, but are not going to be the most relevant. But that pretty much wraps it up, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what's the best deck of the format. You should have hit that like. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Peace.